You're in the Military with Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about another massive drone and missile attack that took place during the previous night between the 21st and the 22nd of October of 2025. According to information we have, the Russians once again attacked the eastern part of Ukraine. As you can see, lots of roads for attacks were recorded, lots of explosions were recorded, and lots of drones and missiles as well. But there is one important thing that I would like to point to attention, that the Russians did not plan this attack during the previous night. The Russians didn't expect that something like this was going to happen. And the thing is that the Russians attacked the territory of Ukraine right after Ukrainians attacked deep inside of the territory of the Russian Federation. And during the previous night, we started receiving lots of updates from pro-Russian resources. The Ukrainian armed forces launched a massive missile and drone attack against Moscow and several other regions of Russia. The launches of Storm Shadow and Neptune missiles, Peklo drone missiles, and numerous kamikaze drones were reported. The photo shows one of the Ukrainian drone missiles flying over the Bryansk region. So the thing is that Ukrainians attacked the territory of the Russian Federation. They were first, and as you can see, according to information we have, for the first time for a very long period of, let's say, special military operation, the Ukrainians launched Storm Shadow missiles. These are cruise missiles of the United Kingdom production, and later the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that Storm Shadow missiles and other weapons completely destroyed the Bryansk chemical plant. The General Staff clarifies on the massive combined missile and aviation strike on Russia. This enterprise produces gunpowder, explosives, and components for rocket fuel, in particular for ammunition and missile that Russians uses to shell the territory of Ukraine. So as you can see, one of the most important plants was destroyed by Ukraine, according to Ukraine sources, during the previous 12 hours. And right after the Ukrainians managed to destroy this chemical plant, the Russians began their own massive missile and drone attack across Ukraine. Another important thing why the Russians did not plan to attack Ukraine is that Russians didn't use their Tu-160 and Tu-22 aircrafts. So the Russians usually, when they attack Ukraine massively with missiles and drones, they use this aviation as well. But this time, due to the fact that they did not plan to attack Ukraine, the Russians limit themselves just with drones and with ballistic missiles. The Russians used different types of Iskander missiles, ballistic Iskander types missiles, and the cruise missiles of Iskander type. Anyway, the Russians managed to deal significant damage across the entire eastern part of Ukraine. As you can see, lots of explosions recorded on the territory of Kiev, Chernigov, on the territory of Dnipro, Kamensk, Kharkiv, Poltava. So the entire eastern part of Ukraine was basically under very heavy fire. And of course, during the previous night, we were receiving lots of updates, and the most important, we were receiving lots of videos of how exactly the Russians were attacking. In this video, we can see how Kiev residents monitor the operation of the Ukrainian Air Patriot air defense system and the incoming Russian ballistic missiles, October 22 of 2025. This is another video that gives us more details about this duel between Ukrainian air defense system and Russian missiles and drones. Here we can see how Ukrainian air defense system was launching missile in the sky with the purpose to bring down Russian missiles and Russian drones. But according to the author of this video, the Russians managed to break through Ukrainian air defense system and even to destroy the Ukrainian Patriot system in the area of the city limits of the city of Kiev. So according to this author, according to this video, the Ukrainians lost this duel between air defense and Russian missiles. Furthermore, lots of explosions and lots of probably damage were recorded on the territory of the city of Dnipro. A combined strike hit power facilities in Kamensk, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Local authorities report damage to infrastructure. Power outages are currently occurring through the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Furthermore, according to information we have, the Russians destroyed also the power plant on the territory of the city of Kiev. The power plant number 5 was hit by a ballistic missile strike. Russia also attacked Kamensk and Ismail with ballistic missiles and drones. This is the photo that we got from the city of Ismail. As you can see, this settlement is located very far from the main focus of attack. A massive fire broke out at a power facility in Ismail, Odessa Oblast after a Giran strike. And right before we started making this video, lots of attacks and lots of explosions were recorded on the territory of the city of Kharkiv. So these are the first seconds after Russians attacked some building in the central part of the city. The building, as you can see, was completely destroyed. We can see rescue teams. The Ukrainians are trying to stabilize the situation. This is another video of the same place, but from another angle. So this is the situation of the 22nd of October of 2025. And now we see that most likely both the Russians and the Ukrainians, or just Ukrainians, are trying to do everything they can just with one purpose: not to allow the meeting between Trump and Putin to take place on the territory of Hungary. I would like to remind you that just yesterday we were talking about some sabotage operations that took place on the territory of Hungary. I would like to remind you that we discussed the situation yesterday. Somebody attacked the oil refineries across Hungary and across Romania, and both of these oil refineries connected with the Russian Federation. One of them belonged to the Russian company, another one used Russian oil and Russian resources for its, let's say, work, and those factories were damaged. So once again, somebody is trying to not to allow this meeting to happen. Okay, let's wait and see what is going to be next. According to information we have, by the 30th of October of 2025, a meeting should take place, most likely between the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov. Anyway, let's wait and see, but obviously the situation is getting very, very hot. Now let's talk about the situation on the ground, and first let's talk about the Pokrovsk direction. During the previous 24 hours, additional changes on the ground were recorded. The pro-Ukrainian sources published this video, and this video took place on the southeastern part of the settlement by the name of Mirnograd. In this video we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians with FPV drones in this area, and in this video we can see how Russians were trying to answer the southeastern part of Mirnograd with mechanized vehicles and with infantry, and how Ukrainians were repelling this attack. All these episodes took place exactly at this point on the entrance in the southeastern part, and based on this video we came to conclusion that Russians most likely managed to capture the settlement of Promin, and that Russians managed to answer the southeastern part of the city of Mirnograd. So this is another direction where the Russians are trying to advance with the purpose to capture the entire Pokrovsk agglomeration. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Shakhovo pocket. During the previous 12 hours, several resources reported that Russians managed to improve their positions significantly around the settlements of Volodymyrovka and Shakhovo. The pro-Ukraine resources and neutral mappers reported that Russians improved their positions in the western part of the settlement, and that Russians improved their positions in the southern part of the settlement. Furthermore, several pro-Russian sources reported that the settlement of Volodymyrovka was completely recaptured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. Now let's discuss the situation in the Sivers Liman direction. During the previous 24 hours, additional changes on the ground were recorded. If you remember, yesterday we discussed that the Russians began offensive operation in the direction of the settlement by the name of Stavki, which is located to the north of the settlement of Liman. And today, according to information we have, the Russians managed to improve their positions and to answer the settlement. Furthermore, the Russians managed to secure this dense network of the fortifications and to capture the first northern street of the settlement of Stavki, and the Russians continue advancing further in the southern direction. We expect that in coming days or in coming hours, maybe the Russians will finish the battle for this territory, and then they will begin offensive operation in the direction of the city of Liman. It's obviously that the city of Liman will fall in Russians' hands during the next months or during months or two. And now let's discuss the situation in the area of the city of Kupiansk. Here we can see additional adjustments in Russian favor. During the previous 24 hours, during the previous night, the pro-Ukrainian sources published this video where we can see how Ukrainians were attacking positions of the armored forces of the Russian Federation across the entire Kupiansk region with FPV drones. A lot of episodes, so as you can see in this video, and one of the episodes, this one, was recorded exactly in the area of the city of Kupiansk, exactly at this point. Based on this video and based on the report that was published by neutral mappers, we adjusted the map by adding additional territories under control of the armored forces of the Russian Federation or inside of the gray zone. So the Russians are finishing the battle for the western and the northwestern parts of the city of Kupiansk, and the Russians continue advancing, and as we can see, the Ukrainians are not able to stabilize the situation. But most likely today we're gonna get some changes. We see that the Ukraine once again crossed the red line. The United Kingdom allowed Ukrainians to use Storm Shadow. With the use of this Storm Shadow, the United Kingdom and Ukraine itself managed to destroy probably one of the most important and powerful chemical plants in the Russian Federation. And I would like to remind you that several days ago, during Zelensky's visit to Washington, he provided to Donald Trump a list of objects. If Ukraine can destroy these objects across the Russian Federation, then most likely Ukraine will be able to force Putin to sit for the negotiation table. As we understand, Donald Trump rejected to provide Ukraine Tomahawk missiles, but Ukrainians decided not to stop this plan, but to continue. We expect that attack against Russian military objects in Bryansk wasn't the only attack that Ukrainians were planning to carry out. In coming days, we're going to see even more of these attacks. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye-bye.